Ember Witch. Book 1. The Lich. Volume 1. Black Tragedy. Chapter 4. Black Tragedy. September 19, 459 BME to October 31, 461 BME. Fragment 32. Breaking the Fox. Neela stepped forward holding out the tail of a large scorpion in her hands. The morning sun beginning to heat the cold sand around her.
An offering to the Naroon rider. Ida Kaisha Dermorden of the East and Lady of Myopia wishes to extend her reach here in the False Sea. She has it on good faith that one of your fellow clans has been plotting with an elven spy to weaken your people. Ida Kaisha hopes that you will ride with the Firean in the defense of the mainland from a foreign invasion.
Neela said as respectfully as she could. Both her and Cress had finally made their way to the Broken Fangs camp after months of hard travel. It had been an extremely difficult journey, especially after they had run out of water and had to resort to pulling what little moisture out of the air and plants they could with their color. The muscled grayish-scaled Orson looked up to her with contempt but took the scorpion tail from her hands.
You trade with us, give us supplies and ask nothing in return but gold. Why is it now that your Morden sends you to beg us to march into the east?
The Orson asked as he crushed the tail into dust in his hand. His lizard-like features creating a striking figure in the firelight.
As stated before, the Elven are planning an invasion upon the mainland. Dermorden Kaisha believes that one of the Elven spies is here in the False Sea plotting to use your people against each other. She wishes for you and the other clans to help hunt down this spy and put an end to the invasion before it begins.
Neela said calmly as the Orson dropped the dust into a fire that sat next to him.
Do you really believe that a simple offering would convince me to help? The Orsin are bred for war. Let the pathetic Elven come. We will crush them before they make it across the Ashlands.
The Orson said as he stepped away from the fire.
Lord Darrow, I believe that the Ashlanders are harboring the Elven. If they come to the False Sea, the Elven army would have the backing of the entire Ashlander clan. This plot is more than a simple war. They are using the people against each other. If the Ashlanders were to move against you, they would be doing so under the orders of an Elven and not by your decree of battle. You must realize that the Elven are planning to destroy your entire way of life. Don't be stupid, we need to come together to defend the mainland.
Cress said impatiently, causing Neela to turn to her in surprised horror.
Brave words coming from a shim. Watch your tongue, cunt, before I fuck that pretty Morden of yours after I destroy your city.
Lord Darrow said in pure rage and disgust.
Leave us before you get us killed.
Neela said in fires, and Cress turned around in frustration, leaving the tent.
I sincerely apologize, Lord Darrow. Cress is not used to your customs.
Neela said as she bowed.
Your race is a pathetic weak band of tiny animals. How could your Morden stand being in the presence of a shim like that? You disrespect the gods by letting him live.
Lord Darrow replied and stepped up to Neela. He lifted her head with one hand. His entire palm was big enough to cover her snout.
However, you have been blessed by the gods. None of the Orsin would be given mercy for being a shim, but we sure as fuck would mount the foxes of the east.
He said, then dropped her head.
Tell me, Fox, if I help your Morden track down this Elven, what will I get in return?
He asked, and Neela looked up to him.
Freedom.
Neela replied with a calm tone.
Freedom? You believe we are not free? The Orsin rule over the largest territory of Valsilla. We are free.
Lord Darrow stated after a laugh.
Freedom from Elven rule, my lord. They outnumber and outclass all of us. If they invade, your people will become their slaves. You will be treated like cattle.
Neela replied, and Lord Darrow looked over to her.
I never trusted the Ashlanders. Roaming pack of dust breathers. I will help you locate this Elven on one condition.
He said, and Neela bowed.
I am at your command, my lord.
She replied gracefully.
You and your shim will fight in the gathering, prove your worth as warriors. Only then will we march against the Ashlanders.
Lord Darrow replied, and Neela looked up from her bow.
My lord, if the Elven are preparing for an invasion, they would likely make their move during the gathering. Would it be smart to wait so long to make our move?
Neela asked, causing Lord Darrow to turn his head.
The Ashlanders know the laws of our clans. They would never move against us during the gathering,
Lord Darrow replied, and Neela looked him over for a moment.
The Elven were willing to use a clan of necromancers against the fire, and despite their hatred of the Dark Goddess. I respectfully have to disagree with your opinion on the situation. The Elven are willing to do anything in order to claim the mainland. Please reconsider your options, Lord Darrow. Dermorden Kaisha hopes that the Orson will stand with her when the day comes,
she said. Lord Darrow ran his hand across his scaled chin, then waved for her to leave.
I will consider it, but either way you and the Shim will compete in the gathering,
he said as she bowed, then left the tent.
What is your problem?
Neela asked as she entered their tent.
My problem? That bastard wants me to be butchered and strung up. I don't even know why we are helping them. He's almost as terrible as my father,
Cress said angrily.
Listen, the Orson are the only race on the mainland who can stand against the Elven. Besides, for us, the humans can fight, but not against highly trained mages. We are on a diplomatic job, not a contract. You can't just speak your mind. You just made the tensions between us worse by disrespecting Lord Darrow. Please watch your mouth while we are around the Orson,
Neela said, pulling Cress to a stop by her arm.
And how could it be any worse? We are in the middle of the desert, surrounded by hundreds of Orson who want to watch as they shove a spear in my ass, and on the hunt for an Elven that is manipulating an entire clan said to be twice the size of this and killing everyone around us. How could it be worse?
Cress asked in frustration, tears beginning to well in her eyes.
Lord Darrow has ordered that we participate in the gathering. We will be fighting in the tournament,
Neela said with a heavy heart as she watched tears stream down Cress's face.
Oh, that's just great. Not only do we still have to contact the 2 other clans, but we will be killed by raging orcs for sport,
Cress said through her tears.
Cress, please calm down. I understand that you are frustrated. I understand that you are uncomfortable and scared, but if you act like this in front of the Orson, they will never respect you. Please, Cress, I know you are stronger than this,
Neela said as she wrapped her arms around Cress.
I'm sorry,
Cress replied as she tried to get her emotions in control. Syrya woke up, ripped off her robe and put on a shirt and tight leggings. She opened the door and stormed into the infirmary. The Firen woman was lying on a bed, still tied down. She grabbed the sheet that held her down and removed the knot. She looked over the burn over her eye. It had popped her eye and crusted over. She applied some herbs and pressed magic into the injury to heal it. Healing burns was quick and easy, but the damage done to her eye was impossible to heal. Syrya engulfed the woman in a black cloud and put her onto her shoulder. She walked out of the room and headed towards the door.
Syrya, where are you going?
Haith asked from behind her.
I'm taking her to the king. From there they can do as they please,
she said, continuing to walk.
I cannot let you do any more harm to her, as angry as you may be,
Haith replied.
I won't be the one hurting her,
she replied, walking out of the door. She had parked the carriage she had stolen in the same place. She threw the woman onto the bench and hopped on. Before she could set off, the owner ran out yelling again. Syrya threw a large sack of coins at the man.
I'm buying this,
she said, snapping the reins as the coins hit the ground at the feet of the obviously angry man. She made the trip to the gate of the castle in an hour, but was stopped by the guards.
What is your business here?
A large dark-skinned man asked. Syrya pulled the Firen's head up. The guard looked extremely confused and looked over the fox-like features of the unconscious and badly burned woman.
I have urgent news for the king concerning all of his people. Let me pass,
she said, looking the guard dead in the eyes.
Okay, but what's with the animal?
He asked, still confused.
Let's just say that this animal is a prisoner that the king would very much like to speak with,
Syrya said, getting frustrated by the questions.
Fine, come on through, but if I hear anything about you causing trouble, I'm personally going to take you to the dungeon.
The guard said, signaling for the gate to open. Syrya shook her head, then snapped the reins. She made her way up a long and winding road, passing several guard posts and towers. She arrived at the massive doors of the castle's main entrance, and again was stopped by guards.
"What is your business with the king?"
the bulky woman standing at attention asked. Again Syrya pulled the woman's head up. This time the guard understood and signaled for the gate to open. Syrya got off the carriage, pulling the woman down with her.
"Watch my horses, will you?"
she asked sarcastically, and strode inside, dragging the unconscious woman on the ground as she walked. The castle stood hundreds of feet tall with spiraling towers. It was built directly into the mountain, carved out with massive sheer cliffs showing where the mountain once was. As she walked down the main hallway to the throne room, she was stopped yet again by guards.
"I'm sorry, madam, but the king is currently not taking any visitors,"
the man with a red face tattoo running from his right eye to his cheek said.
"I'm not just any visitor. My name is Syrya Vern. I am a representative of the Chapel of Creation and an elven mage. I have urgent news for the king concerning the safety of his kingdom."
The Firen woman grumbled slightly, and Syrya pressed magic into her to keep her quiet. The black aura glowing around her strengthened as she focused.
"My apologies, madam, I will let him know he is needed, please stay here,"
the man said, then walked away. Two other guards stayed behind, eyeing the unconscious woman being dragged behind Syrya.
"What's with the wounded Firen?"
one asked.
"This animal is an assassin sent to kill me and has much needed information to tell the king. I personally took care of her after she attacked me on the streets,"
Syrya said, watching the guards tense up and ready their weapons at the word assassin. The guard returned to Syrya and told her the king would be there shortly, making his subordinates lay off the two women. After another 20 minutes, the throne room opened. Sitting on a throne of clear glass, King Darian awaited the news he was interrupted for. Syrya, used to this kind of situation, dragged the Firen up with her, then kneeled at the throne.
"Your Majesty,"
Syrya said on her knees as she looked down to the floor.
"What has brought you here, elf?"
the king asked, gesturing toward the Firen lying unconscious on the ground.
"I have discovered an assassin working to end a plot against your kingdom, your Majesty,"
she replied, standing up, then threw the Firen at his feet.
"So you stopped an assassin who planned to thwart a plot against me? Explain yourself, elf, or I will have you imprisoned for treason,"
the king demanded.
"Your Majesty, the assassin was contracted to kill elven spies within the mainland and targeted me. I have been living in your kingdom since I was born, only leaving to learn healing magic within the Mage's Hall of Solvach. My parents were killed by this assassin, and when she attempted to kill me, she revealed that the elven kingdom is plotting an invasion onto the mainland. I was unable to get any more information from her as she has been trained to resist torture,"
Syrya explained, pulling the woman's head up to show the king the burn she had inflicted on her. The king looked quizzically at the wounded Firen, then back to Syrya.
"You are attempting to thwart an attack by your own people. Why is that?"
he asked in a serious tone.
"Your Majesty, I am in service to the gods. Any attempts of war against their creations is a sin. I am a healer, and to have the people I serve to be killed in such violent circumstances is against my teachings and beliefs,"
Syrya said, bowing her head.
"You claim to be of the church, yet you are not dressed accordingly, and you protest violent acts, yet you tortured this animal. Does this not seem hypocritical?"
the king asked, placing his arm down on his armrest.
"My actions as of recent have been hypocritical, yes, and my 2 church robes were bloodied and burned from the attempted assassination and ensuing torture. The Elven are a lot less strict in their rules, your Majesty. We do not take offense to exposed skin and revealing clothing. It was my best clothing I could wear for this occasion,"
Syrya said, looking at the king directly. The king smiled at her with appreciation.
"Tell me, elf, if I am to take this animal, what will I gain?"
he asked, and Syrya stepped forward.
"I hope you will get answers from her that I was not able to get. I understand that a king has a very strong set of torture devices and way of making his prisoners talk,"
she said, and the king laughed.
"What do you think she will tell me if I do get answers?"
he asked, and Syrya looked back to the Firen.
The name of the person who hired her and the details of the plot against you, Your Majesty.
Syrya answered, and Darian turned his head.
Would I have to inform you of this information if she talks, or are you doing this for the safety of the kingdom?
He continued to question.
I would hope to be informed of the outcome, but my place is with the church. If it is my people that are plotting an invasion, I'd like to be prepared for any sort of issue that may arise from this.
Syrya answered.
Wake her and we will see what we can learn from this animal now.
The king demanded, then gestured towards the Firen. Syrya nodded, then focused her magic around the Firen. She snapped awake and tried to move, but Syrya held her down with a black cloud. Vera looked around, seeing a massive room, a man sitting on a glass throne, and a multitude of intricate stained glass windows. She turned to Syrya and realized she could only see from one eye, then turned back around and stared at the ground.
Miss Assassin, this elf has brought you to me with the accusation that you were attempting to thwart an invasion upon my kingdom. Is this or is this not true?
The king asked, and stunning no one in the room, she said nothing.
The quiet type I see. Let me ask again, is this or is this not true?
He barked, and again she said nothing. Syrya pressed magic into her, breaking a finger. She screamed out, then whimpered. The king grinned at her suffering.
Will you talk now?
He asked, and the Firen replied.
Go fuck yourself.
Vera spat, and the king looked over to Syrya. He stood from his throne, then walked over to the Firen.
I am not one for games. Tell me what you know about this elven invasion.
Darian asked, and Vera looked away from him. Darian grabbed her by the snout, then smiled.
If you don't talk, I will be forced to hurt you.
Darian said, and Vera ignored him. She had been brought to the king by an elven. Even if she was to explain the situation, he had already been taken over by their plot. She had no idea what to do at this point.
All right then, Syrya, if you would,
Darian said, and the black cloud that flowed around Vera crushed into her. The force of the magic pressing into Vera was staggering. Her body felt as if it was being crushed by 1,000 suns. Her entire being heated up with the rage of an inferno. After a few moments, Vera couldn't take it anymore. Vera screamed out in pain and anguish as the magic crushed her.
What was that? I couldn't quite hear you.
The king said with a chaotic smile on his face.
Please. I'll talk.
Vera pleaded, and Darian smiled.
Drop your spell, elf.
The king demanded, and Syrya obeyed.
Now answer my questions. What is your name?
Darian asked, and Vera took a few breaths before she spoke.
That restrain.
She cried.
Is it or is it not true that you attempted to thwart an invasion on my kingdom?
The king asked. Vera started crying, but didn't say a word to the king.
Who hired you?
Fuck you.
She answered with a sob.
Fine, if you will not talk, I will simply let you rot. Take her to the dungeon.
The king commanded.
If I learn more, I will inform you. You are free to leave.
He said, gesturing for Syrya to leave.
Thank you, Your Majesty,
she said, then left the throne room. A group of guards picked up Vera, then dragged her out a separate door.